Welcome to
Bulletpoint!
We are your hosts. I'm EP.
I'm JM.
Every week we're going to talk about competitive shooting and everything around it.
So, if you are an aficionado, enthusiast, or just plain curious, or a beginner, this is your show.
You can easily connect with us through PHLV Radio Facebook page, Bulletpoint Facebook page, or simply email us at bulletpointmediaproduction@gmail.com.
Now, don't forget to like and subscribe on our YouTube channel so you get the latest episodes of Bulletpoint. Are you ready?
Stand by! All right. JM!
Yes.
I'm excited for the coming weekend.
This coming weekend, yeah. We're going to cover that, by the way.
I know, right? We're going to do that.
Yeah, So I know we've been practicing Saturday and Sunday over the weekend.
Correct.
With our local matches. But yes, 2025, upcoming 2025 Berries Red Rock
Berries,
Rumble.
Yoo-hoo.
In
Red Rock
St.
Rumble.
George, Utah.
You know, I thought that's brr.
It is brr. Yeah. But
right.
yeah, it's always one of those matches that we all look forward
Exactly.
to. A lot of Vegas shooters coming down.
If not everyone, it's everyone.
It's everyone and their dogs.
Exactly, right.
Basically. So yeah, we're all looking forward to be, getting together, shooting some great matches. I heard there's some great stages there based on
Can't wait.
WSB. So yeah, looking forward to that, folks. We're gonna cover
you
that.
guys there.
We're gonna try to cover that as best as we can.
Yeah.
Talk to a couple of people.
Yeah.
And you'll see some cool stages out there.
Exactly. Hey, there's a seismic shift happening at matches across the country. It's quite obvious. No, it's not quiet. It's quite obvious. Unless you've been blindfolded on your walk to the stage, you've seen it. What am I talking about?
You are definitely talking about PCC.
There you go.
Pistol Caliber Carbine.
Well, this is not just for fun, not just for side matches nowadays, right?
Yeah.
They're actually dominating, they're winning, they're changing the DNA of how USPSA functions, from how stages are built to how scores are actually calculated.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that in today's show. So we're going to talk about what's behind it, right? And what's really driving the surge in these PCC shooters, even just the PCC culture itself. So, and then also we'll talk about why are some veterans celebrating it, and some are, and then while others are being frustrated or even walking away from the sport. So much hatred for PCC. So that's what we're unpacking today, folks.
Yeah, we'll try to deep dive into what's fueling the explosion of PCC popularity, why traditional divisions like limited and production are feeling the squeeze,
Yeah. So also we'll talk about how the match designs are evolving.
Really? Yeah.
Over the years, I've noticed that, right?
Yeah.
And we're gonna talk about that, or being distorted for that matter, by PCC shooters, right? And then what's the best? We'll talk about some gears. What's the best PCC? Guns out there or setups in gear. So we'll talk about that and why they matter more now than ever. And then also we'll talk about the cultural divide between pistols versus the rifles, or the people that are performance pragmatics.
Yeah. And of course, where the USPSA needs to go from here. Yeah. Because definitely it's the industry or the game is changing. So if it wants to survive and grow, so whether you've been pulling the trigger since the days of iron only classifiers, because there was like that at one point, right?
Yeah.
Or you just pick up your first PCC last month and want to know what this community is all about. Well, that's the topic that we're going to be talking about it. So maybe we can run it already, JM.
Let's run it.
All right. What's fueling the PCC explosion?
Well, I think we have to kind of like rewind it and start with the basics, right? So PCC just didn't show up yesterday.
Oh yeah.
All right. So this has been going on. I think, if I recall, back in like 2010 or 2012, I think my pops were still kind of going over here shooting some nationals, and he mentioned that it was about to get introduced during that time.
Wow, been a while.
So it's been a while. So it's been around for years, right? And but obviously today's trend, it's something different for today's PCC shooters. So it's no longer kind of like a weird side division, like a redheaded stepchild.
Yeah.
It's one of the fastest growing, I think, every year. Even though a lot would probably say no, but it's still one of the most entered divisions in USPSA across the U.S.
Yeah, maybe some people will be asking why.
Right.
One would be familiarity. The majority of the gun owners in America already own an AR rifle style. So when PCC started becoming popular, they were instantly accessible because it's already been there. There's no new learning curve when you hold an AR style rifle. No weird manual of arms. It's just pull the charging handle, flip the safety, run the gun, and with the red dot on top, it's instinctive, clean, comfortable, right? So that's familiarity for you.
Yeah, I think when the PCC came around. I'm not talking about the USPSA side. I'm talking about the firearms itself, right? Because when you mentioned ARs, right? Yep. So it's all 223, 308,
yep. 5.56.
AR based platforms. But manufacturers started producing and diving into AR9s, right? It's still the same setup.
Yeah.
You have a 14.5 or 16.5. So once it started kind of picking up, and again, we'll take a deep dive of that. That kind of shifted and prompted the USPSA to say, "Hey, let's go.
Let's look into it. Right?
Let's look into this." And it's all because obviously, in the general sense, it's low recoil.
Yeah.
Gives the shooters high confidence, and then recoil is the number one challenge, as we all know, for new pistol shooters.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So PCC erases that, and it's just it's a great, quote unquote equalizer. It's great for junior shooters, female shooters, older competitors, people with wrist injuries. Even the law enforcement tactical side looking to go cross training.
That's
so
right.
You get all the USPSA fun without the uphill battle of the recoil management.
Exactly. So that's the thing. The recoil is not there, right? Well, 9mm is still the king.
I agree on that.
Ammo cost matter, especially in today's economy. 9mm, guys, is still the most available and cost-effective center fire cartridge. So no one wants to reload like the 40 that we used to before. Ouch. That's me. This is being used for limited, and nobody wants to mess with 38 Super for open unless they absolutely have to. You're using it.
No, I think PCC gives you the same ammo that you can use in your carry carry pistol, and no need for major power factor. This is your scoring minor. And the factory loads are reliable out of the box. So this is, you can go to any shop and just buy a box ammo, and your PCC will run with it. And so it's super simple, it's practical, and it's cost effective. Yeah,
even the gear, gear that works. Let's be real, bro. Early PCC builds had issues in the beginning, feed ramp problem, broken ejectors, mag compatibility nightmares. But now, you know this better than me. What do we have?
No, it's just a couple manufacturers to mention, like JP. They have the roller delayed blowback. And then you have your traditional AR style, like the CMMG or Cobalt Kinetics. There's also the SIG MPX.
That's right, I remember
so
that.
You like systems tuned for match grade performance. And there's not much to tinker on the PCC side, but you have your drop-in triggers. You have your Timney, Hyperfire. Elfman triggers, and then you can tune the buffer systems.
Yes.
And comped for the barrels for flat. So this is what used to be a gamble. It's now a refined weapon platform.
You could see that it's well refined now than how it started before, right?
Yeah. And usually, when you start like messing, on those parts, you can just buy ones, cry ones, and then you run them hard.
What's your go-to, right? Okay, my go-to is,
and that's the thing. You can beat them up pretty hard, and they'll still run.
They'll still run. And social media loves PCC. Come on now, Instagram, TikTok. Well, these platforms didn't invent USPSA, but they've definitely changed how people experience it. Clean PCC run with no muscle rise, still falling, dot staying dead center. Those get views.
Gets views and likes.
Right? That gets new shooters interested. And PCC has the highlight reel factor, and that visibility is pulling the younger audience, the younger shooter, the first time shooters, and they run fast.
Like I said, it's a perfect division to get your skills sharpened. Because you don't have to worry about the firearm. Now, obviously, there are still some risks of malfunctions and whatnot, but that's all. That's every division. But do you think PCC is killing the iron sight division?
That's the question. That's a controversy.
Or even other divisions with red dots.
I know, right?
So,
JM, there's a growing belief that PCC is killing off those traditional USPSA divisions, especially production and limited. I just want to throw it out there. Well, is it true? I don't know, but let's look at the symptoms of this, right? So, local matches that used to have more than 10 production shooters, now they only have 2 or 3. Okay, so that's a symptom, right? Limited is barely alive outside of those niche areas. So now you tell me, right? The average new shooter skips irons now. Before I was taught I have to do irons first. I still love irons. Don't get me wrong. But now people head straight to Care Optics or PCC. So symptoms. Now you tell me, right?
I think when you mentioned the iron sights versus red dots, to me, iron sights, I left that division long time ago. And
me 2 years ago only.
A couple of years ago. But irons. So to some people, iron sights are a barrier. Right, and 10 round mags are also a barrier. Double action first shots, massive barrier, right? So PCC in that realm, right? So it offers a couple benefits, right? No reloads, right? You have that long 40 round magazine,
or 60,
right? Or 60, plus another 60 on you. So you get one.
Oh my God.
You get 120.
That's for the whole
match. I know a couple of people that does that.
I know, me too.
So there's no drawing from the holster, right? You start at either low ready or stock on belt, right? And then red dot east, like I said, this perfect optics there. The bigger the windows, the better, right? And then familiar controls again. If the AR, if you have an AR at home, it's same controls, right? And then the entry is faster, it's easier, and more, it's more satisfying.
I see that. Sometimes I wonder, how'd you guys do that? Of course, it's two different things, pistols and rifles.
Right. PCC always catches flack on other shooters, right? Because they think it's not a real division. And because they're always saying, oh, why are you bringing a rifle into a pistol match? But first and foremost, USPSA embraced that division and made one, which is a PCC, right? So regardless whether you like it or not, the division's there.
It's going to be there. Oh, it's already there.
It's already there, right? And it's not going anywhere. But I've talked to shooters that always talk crap about PCC, right? And I always say, hey, why don't you shoot PCC and you tell me if it's easy
really
or not, right? Because it's also hard to maneuver barriers with a 14 and a half rifle It's different. Obviously, it's faster for us to run, pistol, but with a rifle, and you're trying to keep that muzzle downrange.
Downrange, yeah.
So maybe honestly, maybe USPSA didn't evolve fast enough to meet expectations from a modern shooter. So PCC didn't kill production. PCC just stepped in and said, I've got a better deal. This is
hey boys,
there's a new kid in town.
I've got a better deal, and which actually is a better deal.
Yeah.
So match design is changing because of PCC. Do you believe in this?
I do.
Yeah.
Throughout the years, I've talked to old school shooters.
Yeah.
That's been around for a while, and I've seen it's funny because Migs and I whenever we're dry firing, we have the YouTube channel on our living room, and I sometimes I like watching old school USPSA videos.
Yeah,
and the stages are way different than now. Obviously, the targets there are closer.
And sometimes when we run stages, sometimes we'd hear people or shooters saying this is a PCC stage.
Yeah,
so you'll hear that.
Just because again the target placements and how far the targets are, but the in the older years, without PCC yet entering USPSA, the targets were closer.
Yeah.
And then the barriers are like real barriers. Like you can't see the now it's like net.
Yeah.
Right. It's an orange net. Right.
That's right.
You can see through the targets and whatnot. But before it's just it's a wall.
Yeah.
So again, it's changing because of the PCC division. The stage design is totally different now. Now it's farther.
Well, look at this. Shooters with 40 round mags, they don't need to reload. That's what you mentioned.
Yeah.
So they engage more targets from fewer positions. I see that.
Yeah.
For us pistols, we have to move around a lot.
Yeah.
But for them, I can take it from here.
Yeah.
So
because you got that advantage of 14.5 or 16-inch barrel over our barrel, which is
5.
So you engage more targets in a fewer precision, as you mentioned, and you skip some of the movements from pistol shooters that are forced to take.
Yeah.
A great example was when we shot last week in Kingman.
Yeah.
We shot one stage there, and there was a plate rack farther down, and PCC shooters took that from far away. Well, us pistol shooters, we have to go move forward, to get a little bit closer. So again, those kind of discrepancies, they get like clean long shots, thanks to that shoulder stock.
Definitely the control is there, right?
Yeah, and the designs, and obviously the designers, conscientiously or not, they're leaning into longer shots, fewer mandatory reloads, more open angles, less footwork, but this is fine if it's balanced.
Of course, yeah. But if unchecked, it alienates us, the pistols, right?
It does. So it's hard to really think of stages because you have to cater for everybody.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Well, that's a challenge too, right? So how are you going to blend those two different gun, like a PCC and a pistol, right? So and of course, there's also safety issues.
Oh yes, of course.
PCC, they're not holstered. They start on tables or barrels. That adds complexity. Uprange safety becomes more serious.
Yeah.
And DQ risk increases.
Yeah.
So RO workloads as well definitely increases, right?
Yeah. The one thing, obviously, with when you mention ROs, right, is watching that muzzle direction constantly.
Oh yeah,
right? Especially in starts, transitions, and unloaded commands. Also, when you're running, right, because some of them still hold it, with two hands.
Yeah,
and you're rocking that back and forth, and sometimes that muzzle kind of goes sideways. So you have to be mindful of that. And it's not, also, let's not forget, the reset fatigue.
Yeah.
Right? PCC puts out more rounds downrange. More targets, more pasters, and longer reset times.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is not IPSC where we don't have to tape. Match directors are now designing, for PCC, but sometimes, it's towards the expense of, everyone else.
Of course, but match directors, I could imagine how hard the job would be for them just to cater for both PCC and the pistols, right?
Yeah.
So it's not malicious, but that's actually happening. It's real,
Yeah.
So is there also a gear gap? I mean, what are the top shooters running today?
The gear gap is really same as other divisions. Yes, there is a gear gap, right? For entry level PCC, we have your low cost like a Ruger PC carbine. You have your basic red dot, Glock mags, and maybe a muzzle device. That'll get you started, but you're not going to be able to catch up on some of the other PCC shooters.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned all of those competitive PCC nowadays, like the JP5.
Yeah,
definitely.
JP.
You cannot compare that with with those entry level PCCs or MPX. They're tuned for flat recoil.
Right. Yeah. No. There's like I said, JP's out there. MPX is out there.
Yeah.
Mall rival. And then also. Some of the other ones like Da Vinci machining, so you have your like, for example, the JP, you have a 3-port comp, and then sometimes you can put Timney or Hyperfire on your lower for a match trigger, and then you have your buffer weights in the back for a weighted ammo.
Have you seen people using two optics?
I have. MIGS doesn't run. MIGS just runs one. But you have your 45-degree offset.
The offset,
that's for like leaning shots, like left or right.
I can't imagine. I might not be able to do that.
It's hard.
It's hard. The shift. It's hard.
Yeah. And then you obviously have your magazines, long magazines, and drums. Magpul has the.
Some people use
60.
the drum, right?
Yeah. If I were on the PCC, I'm gonna run drum.
Really? 100
60 rounder from Magpul, and then some folks like to lighten up the PCC, so you have your titanium parts.
Do you go for lighten up, or?
I tend to not have the PCC touched at all. Let's say because MIGS is sponsored by JP, right? We don't touch the ergonomics. Some people like it lighter. I understand that, but there's a reason for the science behind it with the weight in front.
There you go.
So we don't touch it at all. Very minimal. Just a flared magwell would for faster reload. So that alone, like let's say for a top running JP would be anywhere from a $2,800 to $4,000, $4,500.
Okay.
And that's the difference between
placing and winning. I know, right? Because just like what you mentioned, the Ruger, and then you compare it with a very competitive rifle,
or even like a Frankenstein put together. AR9. I've seen those, and they recoil crazy.
Oh yeah.
I've seen
that too.
I've also seen people put quarters on the buffer tube.
Yes, I've seen that.
Quarters, right?
So if it falls or not, right? That's true. So at least guys, you have those guides about PCC. Well, it's up to you again. At the end of the day, what's a dollar value that you can afford, right?
Yeah.
But you definitely have choices there.
Yeah.
So we were going to be talking about PCC versus pistol.
Yeah.
Scoring, the culture, and the spirit of the USPSA, the organization that we all part of. So maybe the harder question here, JM, is what is USPSA really testing anymore?
Well, originally it's the drawing from concealment. That's the heart of that, right? Recoil control, reload discipline, obviously sight picture under pressure. Overall, the overall generic sense of what a USPSA stand for, but when a PCC shooter, can run the same stage without drawing, without reloading and without recoil, it's a different ball game.
That's
it's a
the
different
reason.
Sport.
Yeah, that's the reason why we're talking about it, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine we all draw our pistols and then they go, "Oh, here goes."
Yeah.
So
even
it's two different sports.
So even the strong hand, weak hand.
Yeah. That's true.
For us, pistol versus the PCC,
huge difference.
The strong hand is the same as
the
what
weekend.
you would do. You would shoot a normal PCC, right?
Yeah.
So that alone is that's an advantage.
Exactly, and yet they scored the same.
Yes.
In classifiers, right?
Yeah.
Same hit factors and same match standings, and we may not even talk about it, but it's creating tension while you guys shoot. You know?
Yeah. Pistol shooters see PCC as gaming the system, or these are gamers, and PCC shooters see pistol divisions as, I'm not going to touch that, as like outdated.
Grandpa.
So especially like if you compare it to like production or that's why people would have multiple choices. As far as divisions that they can jump,
exactly.
But, the divide is real.
But it's you could see it, you could feel it. We may not all talk about it, but we see that. And this isn't just a gear question anymore. It's a culture question, JM. So.
I think the USPSA organization as a whole, they could decide, is this a one sport with multiple formats, or two very different sports sharing the same rule book.
That's tough. That's tough.
We don't know if they're going to dive into that, or right now. For now, they obviously have bigger things to think about. But at this point, you think about it, right? How do we go from where do we go from here?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And how do we move forward?
That's right.
So, because in reality, right? PCC is not going to go away.
Period.
We know that, right? And it brings in, again, you look at it from the revenue standpoint, right? It brings in new shooters,
definitely,
new sponsors, right? Faster stage times. It's more excitement, does it need structure? Maybe. Yeah. Keep in mind, it's always. Open division and PCC are always together.
Yeah.
Because again, it's speed.
It's speed,
right? The only difference is obviously one is a minor and one is the major in scoring, and obviously one is pistol and one is a rifle. Yeah.
That's the reason for right now they go together.
Yeah.
But eventually, there should be, for me, maybe there should be some division really for that. One of the things that I'm looking into for a real solution here is separate classifiers for PCC.
Yeah.
Definitely, the classifiers should be two different. These are two different sports for me,
Yeah.
And maybe create a hybrid match formats like a pistol day or a PCC day,
Kind of like a two-gun.
Like a two-gun. So adjusting scoring or divisions to reflect different platforms. I think that's a good solution too.
Yeah.
And invest in RO training for PCC alone. I don't know.
When you say RO training, obviously the verbiage is different towards the end.
Definitely, yeah.
Because when you show clear and you don't say
flag in,
you don't say holster on the PCC. You put
muzzle
a flag
up.
And muzzle up.
Exactly.
So that alone is different, and I'm sure when you NROI organization for ROs are they specifically also discuss. PCC.
That's good.
Whenever they're doing some training, and then also we've seen PCC only events.
Yes.
Or leagues to foster growth independently.
Because we've been talking about the number of PCC shooters already. Yeah. Even pistol shooters, they have PCCs hidden. Yeah. So I don't think that's going to be an issue to how many players can you actually have. You know?
Yeah, well, PCC only events, like in Arizona, there's a PCC only match.
Okay.
Southern California in December, there's a match, a PCC Southern California Championship. So there's these pockets of areas where they just do solo matches, just PCC alone.
Yeah.
You know, so in this way, this is a chance to evolve the USPSA.
I agree. Yeah.
And not just fracture it.
Yeah. So again, guys, maybe this is the time to build the structure before the divide becomes irreversible. Because at the moment, we are on the forefront. I mean, on the grounds, we feel the division right there. Mm-hmm. Eventually, I hope, not really. Eventually, I feel that it will catch up. Mm-hmm. Say, hey, I'm done. PCC is always on the top, outrun us or what have you. I think building the structure before the divide becomes irreversible is one of those real solutions that we can have.
Right. I agree on that,
So, what did we learn today, sir?
Well, not being biased because Biggs is obviously on the PCC side, but PCC is no longer a sideshow.
Yeah, definitely not.
Or not to be taken lightly anymore. Yeah. At this day and age, it's a real division. It's there to stay. It's one of the most exciting, active, and performance-driven divisions of all USPSA.
Yeah, and like any major change, Jim, it comes with friction. Mm-hmm. But if we guide this growth with intention, with fairness and clarity, we don't lose anything. In fact, we gain something stronger.
Yep.
So let's not make the mistake of fighting evolution. Sometimes change is just so hard, right?
But change is good.
But this change is good. There's evolution. We evolve. Mm-hmm. So not only that PCC is there, limited optic is there too.
Yeah.
So the game in the sport is actually evolving.
Right.
And something is actually happening nice for all of us.
Yep.
So I think this is just one sport. So we just have to make sure that there's clarity in those things.
And the thing is, there's like I said, the USPSA has created a lot of divisions for everybody to pick at, right? So there's something for someone. Whenever you're going to try to get into these types of divisions.
So I call for, let's shape it together.
That's right.
All right, guys. I hope you guys learned something from us today. That's a wrap. So if you're digging the content, look, lock and load, and like that button, subscribe, and smash the bell so you're always in the loop.
Got something on your mind? Drop it in the comments. And we're all about living up together. Stay focused, stay fast, and we'll see you on the range.